So March 13th, 2012, Pete asked John and I if we would go to a doctor's appointment with him because they figured out what was going on with his wrist. And we sat down, then he put his hands on his knees and he looked right at 27-year-old Pete and he said, "Pete, I don't know how to tell a 27-year-old this. Pete, you have ALS." There was no initial reaction, panic reaction. It was like, okay, Lou Gehrig was 1940, 1941. Okay, what do we do now? And the doctor looked right at us, and his words exactly were, "Mr. and Mrs. Frates, I am sorry to tell you, but we have barely made any progress in the fight against this disease. There is no treatment, there is no cure. The prognosis is 3 to 5 years, and it's 100% fatal."
At first, it starts with an insignificant little thing. I can't button my shirt. I can't turn the radio station. He had the nerves of an 80-year-old man. It was devastating. Pete had researched everything about it, and he's like, "Look, people, this is an underfunded, under-researched disease space, and we've got to get to work." So we became basically his new teammates on this mission.
So we lost Pete on December 9th, 2019, after an 8-year battle with ALS. The one thing that we did still have was our promise to Pete that we were going to stay in the world of ALS, we were going to continue with his mission, and we were going to have this foundation, and we were going to help as many families as we could.
When Pete passed, Ray and I, we went to the funeral, we came home and we looked at each other and said, we gotta do something very special for the Frates family. We got to know them over the years. Then we said, for now on, we'll dedicate the gala to the Frates family.
Pete was diagnosed. He asked the doctor, you know, what is it gonna take? She said, money. He said, how much? She said $1 billion, and Pete looks at her and says, I'm on it. So the goal is to raise as much money as we can for the Healy Center and the Pete Frates Family Foundation that gives grants out to families affected with ALS.
So our grants go directly to the family so that they can direct it to wherever they're using their home health care.
You know, the Healy Center is a really incredible place and has really acted as a beacon of light for our entire community. The lifetime risk of developing ALS is about 1 in 350. ALS is a serious illness, and it's one that we have limited treatment options for now, but we also have a huge amount of knowledge about the sort of science behind ALS, and we're getting to a point where we have more and more targets for new therapies. We need to be able to have the funding to clarify how we target these parts of the disease and to develop drugs so that we can find treatments and cures for the disease. The Captain's Ball has raised money that we've used both for care and research at the Healy Center. The research has really helped us move forward clinical trials, as well as the research studies that help us identify new science, new targets for drug therapies. And without this funding, we really don't have a way forward for some of the most innovative, earliest ideas. And that makes a huge difference.
The Healy Center for ALS is, in my mind, where you go. Everybody who works at the Healy Center are at the top. They are the platinum standard in the world of ALS.
I think we also see an increased awareness of ALS. And at the same time, events like this, where people are coming together and recognizing that, especially for our most novel ideas, we need funding so that we can get going, so that we can sort of show preliminary data and show that we're on the right track. That's really driving our research forward, and it's incredibly important. Over the last 5 years, we're running the Healy platform trial. We've been able to test 7 different drugs to try to get us to answers more quickly about what may be new therapies for this disease, and that's been incredibly exciting.
There is one major difference between 2012, when we got this diagnosis and left that room, and today, and that's hope. We had no hope. We were given no hope.
Since my mom was diagnosed with ALS, I have been coming back here and living here. It's really been important time to spend with my family that I wouldn't normally experience. I mean, I'm a 42-year-old woman sleeping next to my mom in her bed every night. When you're diagnosed with ALS, there's so much pain. For me, a lot of my pain comes from witnessing my parents going through what they're going through.
Started out, she had a little limp, and she went to the neurologist by herself because we thought it was just nerve damage or something. And she came home and said, "Sit down. Guess what? I've got ALS." And I was stunned. I said, "Can't be. It can't be." It just slowly took over her body. That was a progressively downhill slide.
I'm very fortunate to be in my own home, still going upstairs to my own bedroom, and my day is filled in the morning with just personal care, getting my hair done, putting some makeup on, brushing my teeth. They do it all.
What we had to adapt to is Patty's lack of mobility.
The Healing Center has been another piece of the puzzle in my puzzle of my life.
You can imagine a diagnosis of ALS fundamentally changing the way one perceives their life and their future. And I think of nursing as a way to come in, lend a helping hand to bring the patients out of the chaos and try to give them some comfort. And even though we can't change the scenario and the diagnosis, what we can do is start to really lean in towards aggressive symptom management, really high-level care, access to treatments and research that will hopefully slow down disease progression so that we can offer them the best quality time and the time that they have left.
You can survive it. As far as for the caregivers and the family members, you just have to make that person comfortable, love them, and just live the rest of the life with the limitations that it brings. Might they find a cure someday? I hope. I hope.
Even though the reality is finally settling in, to have that hope that more people will be able to say, "I was around when they found a cure," or "My grandmother was part of a trial that helps to have hope in research, hope in taking the pain away."
For me, I've taken this very personally. The person that Pete was and the awareness that he brought to ALS. I mean, the kid was amazing.
In order for us to treat this disease or cure this disease, we're going to have to think big. As the saying goes, we don't do this because it's easy, we do it because it's hard. And that takes a lot of funding. So I think we're talking about $1 billion or billions of dollars. And the faster we get that money, the faster we get to a cure.